organized by Government of Odisha. A traditional crop for tribals since time immemorial, millets are climate resilient and a powerhouse of nutrition. Government of Odisha's journey in rejuvenating millets since 2017 under the aegis of Odisha Millets Mission has many successful stories to tell. It has still miles to go to learn from the others for mainstreaming the millets from farm to plate. This session will highlight the best practices, innovative and sustainable on the millets from the local, national and international perspectives. The sharing of knowledge from the esteemed panelists of this session will help revive the forgotten roots and facilitate further mainstreaming of millets to improve the nutritional security in the state and the country. We are truly privileged to have eminent panelists and august audience. The panelists for this session includes His Excellency Kamlesh Shashi Prakash, High Commissioner, Republic of Fiji. He is also will hear our own success stories from Chhattisgarh and Odisha. So we have with us from Chhattisgarh Mr. Kapil Dev Deepak, Joint Director Agriculture, and Director Agriculture and Food Production Odisha, Dr. Premchand Chaudhary, will speak about the story of our land in Odisha. We have with us Dr. Vilas Tanopi, former Director, Indian Institute of Millets Research. Dr. Tanopi will set the context for the discussion in this session. So this is also our proud privilege to have Madam Subha Thakur, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India, who will give us the who will open the session and will also offer the remarks, key remarks for this session. The session will be chaired by Ms. Nozomi Hashimoto, Deputy Country Director, World Food Program, and co-chaired by Madam Subha Thakur. I once again extend a hearty and warm welcome to the esteemed panelists and the august presence for your gracious presence in the session. I would like to welcome and thank the architect of this convention, Sri Arvinda Pramar Padhi, Principal Secretary, and his team for the tireless efforts to organize this event. Now I would request the panelists to come and grace their positions on the dais. May I request, please. Yeah. Thank you. So now I request Ms. Nozomi Hashimoto to lead the session. Thank you. You can do it from there. In the
afternoon. Is this on? Yes. Good afternoon. Very much privileged to have an honor to chair the session today. As introduced, my name is Hashimoto. I am the Deputy Country Director of the World Food Program. Today, this event is pretty much, sorry, I think the microphone is not quite working. Is it better now? Yes, I hope so. Session is a very important. Shall I speak from, yeah, it's better, right? Yes, okay. No, thank you very much. So once again, I would like to welcome you all. This session is ready to exchange all the good practices from across the world as well as within India. So without much further ado, I would like to invite Madame Shubha Thakar, the Joint Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, to deliver us the keynote speech. Madame, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, distinguished dais and dear ladies and gentlemen. I can see many young people in the crowd who may not know what International Year of Millets is about. So from the Government of India perspective, I'll take you through what is International Year of Millets, what has been done so far, and what is expected. Because the other dais members will tell about their countries, their states. So I'll just talk from the Government of India perspective. So as all of you know, this is the year of International Year of Millets. We're in the month of November. But let me tell you, it has been a very busy 1.5 years. In fact, more than 2 years we were in the preparation for this International Year of Millets. And a lot of events have taken place, a lot of initiatives have taken place, both at Government of India level, at state level. So I'll just take you through that. So this International Year of Millets was first declared by the United Nations. And this was a proposal which was primarily sponsored by the Government of India in the United Nations. And it had support over 72 nations of the world. And on 5th March 2021, the year was declared as International Year of Millets. In 2018, we had the National Year of Millets. So from 2018 to 2023, we were working in the background for millets, gradually how to take it forward, and eventually in 2023, we got the declaration, and it was the International Year of Millets. So the Government of India has decided to celebrate this as a mass movement. All of you know about International Day of Yoga, how India has taken it to the world. That was also a resolution of the UN which was adopted. This is a second resolution which was sponsored by India and adopted by the UN. So both yoga, millets, taking it as mass movements. And all of you know the success of yoga. And we hope that in the same manner, millets can also share that success. So through this resolution, you may wonder, why is an international year declared? What is the reason? How does it matter? But then it brings to the forefront about that crop. Now, many of us didn't know what millets were. In fact, I don't think many may still know in India also what millets are. So through this proclamation, you get to know about the crop, what are millets, what are its benefits, what are the types of millets, where is it grown, how is it made, how do we eat it. So all this comes to the forefront, not only in India, but across the world. And then it also inspires the whole, the stakeholders, the startups, the FPOs, the industrialists, to take cognizance of that fact that millets, yes, millets is the focus product for a particular year, and let us work on this. And it also leads to a lot of enhancement in R&D and extension services. So what did the Government of India do? We didn't just make it an agriculture ministry initiative. We took into account all the departments of the Government of India, and we made it into a convergence approach. Be it for branding, be it for propagation abroad by Indian embassies, be it for export purposes through APIDA, through chefs, restaurants, we roped in the Ministry of Tourism, the Institute of Hotel Managements were roped in, and all the states and union territories were roped in. Basically what we did in the beginning of the year, we gave focus to 2 states and 2 ministries every month, that you focus on millets, you hold events, you propagate about its values, and also all our embassies which are abroad. 2 embassies were chosen every month. So we had a full calendar over the 12 months, and we had focus states and focus ministries. And let me tell you, a lot has been done. So much has been done that I can't keep track of what is happening on millets. So something or other is happening all the time. Even though the focus states, maybe some other state, but all the states do their bit, even if it's not a focus state. And of course, the state governments have done very well. millet startups have really come up. You may be witnessing some of the products in the exhibition here today, and you please take a look at the products, and it is many have a very good products, and it's a very good success story. I don't have the data, but I have been told that after International Year of Millets has been announced, the sales have gone up multiple times, more than 3 times. Some people say the sales have gone up. So that is something very encouraging. A lot of focus is being done on research also. New research is being taken. I'll quickly just go through because we don't have, we don't have much time. We started a bit late. And how are millets important in the Sustainable Development Goals? As you can see, it touches so many SDGs. Sustainable production of millets can fight hunger, and so on and so forth. So it very well weaves into the UN SDGs also. Odisha, my colleague will talk about Odisha and the success story. And just I want to take you through some recent events through photographs, what happened. 18th March, we had the global event, the launch of the global event in India on 18th March. The formal opening ceremony was held in Rome in December 2022, in which our Honorable MOS had gone. But on the first global event for millets was held on 18th March, in which the Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated that event. And recently, the whole year we had G20 meetings. So G20 meetings, millets was a big focus in G20 meetings. And the icing on the cake was that we had the opportunity to host the spouses of the leaders. So you can see the spouses of the leaders of UK, Japan, Italy, Mauritius, wives of World Bank and EU. So, and they took part in this whole event, and they actually did a millet rangoli also. They tried their hand in the millet rangoli. We are having a series of programs in Doordarshan, Vichar Vimarsh, where we have all different stakeholders talking about millets. And there's a millet experience center which has opened up in Delhi Heart in Delhi. But just like your Mission Shakti cafes in Odisha, we're trying to get people to experience millets. And we had a millet farmer producer organization camp in the BSF. World Food India, which recently concluded in Delhi, we had the World Food India event. Like I mentioned, all the Indian embassies abroad have been talking about millets, holding events. These are just a few pictures from Nepal Embassy, New Zealand, Madagascar. And so, like I mentioned, the Government of India is taking a whole stakeholder approach, whole of government approach. And likewise, the state governments too have started many millet missions. And what we will hear from them today, that what have they done which is different? And how can one state learn from each other? How can one country learn from each other? So with that, I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Madam Joint Secretary. From my side, also very briefly, I would like to add WFP's perspective. So WFP stands for the United Nations World Food Program. We are the biggest humanitarian organization trying to eradicate hunger worldwide. As WFP, as a humanitarian organization, we do distribute a lot of millets actually to our beneficiaries. And not only that, in order to distribute and assist our beneficiaries, we do actually procure a lot of millets. So we see a lot of opportunities, and we do actually work from the farm gate to the plate to the people, how to make sure that the whole supply chain is well assisted to ensure that the millet is mainstreamed indeed. And in India, we have the privilege to be able to act as a knowledge partner for the government of India. So we do facilitate the knowledge sharing and the example sharing. And this, occasion is one of those perfect examples that we are trying to work together with the government of India. With that note, I would like to invite the next speaker, Mr. Vilas Tonali, to kindly provide the context-setting speech. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good afternoon. I have been given the role here to set a context for this particular session, trying to look at what are the learnings that have happened globally and also at the Indian ecosystem in the last 7 years when the Millet Mission program started until now, the journey, it has really indicated the pros and cons, the way forward, which we need to really look at. So looking at the global challenges, if we see the entire ecosystem which you have been researching for the last 2 years now, the climate change is going to be a big problem. The crop diversification needs to be the focus of the countries in order to see that the climate resilient crops become the part of the food systems. Because the entire millet mission is around creating awareness, bringing alternate grains into the food plate of all, and also targeting the malnutrition, zero hunger, and the nutrition security. So in this scenario, globally, if we see the entire climate change scenario that is happening, indicates the spectrum of millet ecosystem across the globe, from Africa to India to Europe to South America to North America to Australia. You would find the drylands from cold to warm to humid to entire tropical and the subtropical ecosystems. And millets have survived since time immemorial. But in this situation, how do we plan the things which were there at that time, which we are trying to push through now, and how our food systems are going to be in future? So that is what is the total ecosystem we are trying to connect at. So in this scenario, the African countries, 10 of them, the most prominent, from Senegal to Tanzania to Kenya, if we really look at, they are all long value chains. The problem here is the aggregation. So there are clusters, there are political problems, but still millets have been the part of the food ecosystem. So in this particular scenario, we need to be looking at how we strengthen this value chain in a sustainable way across these countries. But there is an organization, the African organizations, how do we do it across the countries, inter-country or intra-country inter-networking is an issue we need to be looking at. And whether it is Ethiopia, whether it is the sorghum and teff there, in Niger it is the fonio, or coming to Nepal, whether it is the finger millet ecosystem. So entire this thing is creating or trying to look at how do we really put the farmers to the market. That is what is the global learning that is happening, and the governments need to find the policies, and the Indian experience of the Millet Mission should be a lesson to the world to replicate everywhere. That is what I would like to say. This is an example we need to emulate. That is what is the main aspects of it. So the entire hill ecosystem or the plains or the tribal ecosystems, they all suffer from lack of markets. That is where the role of government comes in. The policies become important, and that's where we frame in policies to procure them, mainstream them in the funded program, so that awareness-linked demand generation happens, and that is where the demand-led area expansion would happen. So I would like to focus upon few things. It's not moving. Yeah. So the example of Odisha government, the Karnataka experience, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh. So starting at the local resilient systems, whether from natural agriculture to organic agriculture, we have tried to create the verticals of these things and trying to think that the farmer would be part of the total value chain process. So that is where the farmer has been linked to the market, so that the procurement systems are trying to get strengthened in. But the main problem here is the best practices, though we have tried to push into the policies, the main aspect why the augmentation in terms of the higher production is not happening is because of the lack of quality seeds. Seed systems we need to be improving. And what is really happening is government is hand-holding everything, but public-private partnership is the one area we need to really look at. And I think more private participation in the entire gamut of activities of this millet mission, if it could happen, I think it would really change the face, and the turnaround will happen in terms of the augmenting production, productivity, and also the supply chains. So the main aspect also, the problem here is the prices to the consumer. they are very high because we are negatively skewed by 40%. Demand is there 100%, but say supply is only to the tune of 60%. That's why market prices are very high. So augmenting production becomes very, very important. That's why I said in the morning, Shubhataku madam, that incentivizing cultivation in the high irrigated agricultural ecosystem would help the augmenting production. That policy, if it comes, I think that would be a greater learning. So this will, the lesson from Odisha Millet Mission of procurement, mainstreaming, scientific agriculture, the seed systems, self-help groups, FPOs, farm gate processing, and the machinery. All these components are the emulating examples, and Karnataka model of corporatizing the main aggregation and the processing process would be a greater example. Third is the support system for the natural agriculture or resilient agricultural system like in Andhra Pradesh, and the mainstreaming of the millets in the public funded program in Tamil Nadu and Chhattisgarh would help, and connecting the tribal ecosystem would be a way forward. That's why I feel the country experiences what we will be presenting here. The Indian experience would be a foundation. The policies from here need to sprout further in the governments across, so that the millet ecosystem beyond International Year of Millets would be a strong way forward and for the in ensuring the nutrition security. So this is what I would like to set my context here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tonapi, for setting the scene. Now we will have a series of international speakers representing different countries. I would like to start inviting by Dr. Ibrahim Mabdouhouda, representing the government of Egypt. Mr. Houda, please.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to start by thanking the government of Odisha for the excellent organization of this convention. We would like to congratulate the people of India and the people of Odisha and the farmers of Odisha for this wonderful event. And we are very thankful for inviting us to this important conference, and I'm sure that it will be a great success for the benefit of the people of Odisha, the people of Egypt, and all other countries. Before I talk about the millets in Egypt, I would like to highlight 2 points only about the bilateral cooperation between Egypt and India. Egypt and India are strong partners in agriculture and food security. We have welcomed the declaration by the United Nations General Assembly of the year 2023 as the International Year of Millets. This year, in January and in March, President Sisi and Prime Minister Modi reaffirmed their commitment to deepen cooperation in agriculture and allied services. They have also stressed the importance of strengthening the supply chain of food articles and enhancing collaboration in animal husbandry, dairying, and fisheries. Millet is not a new thing. It was a major crop in ancient Egypt. Actually, but it has its status has somehow declined on the Egyptian plates over thousands of years. But now we are reviving this culture, and we are hoping that to increase the production and cultivation in this prog into our country. The area cultivated with millets in Egypt now is between 200,000 and 300,000 acres, almost entirely in Upper Egypt. The average yield of millets in Egypt is around 800 kilograms per acre. This can be considered somehow low in comparison to India, but this can be this is a result because of the low and erratic rainfall in Egypt. We mainly rely on the flow of the Nile, and the rainfall in Egypt is very low. That's why the average yield of millets is somehow lower than India or other countries. The production of millets in Egypt has peaked last year in 2022 and it's expected to retain its growth in the coming years. This in part thankfully to our ongoing cooperation with the government of India and other international organizations such as WFP and the Food and the FAO. Now, the main types of millets cultivated in Egypt, the most important millet is sorghum vulgar, and which is also known as a great millet. Other millets are grown in Egypt include pearl millet, purusu millet, finger millet, and foxtail millet. Talking about the nutritional value of millets, we try to raise awareness of our public, the Egyptian public in Egypt and elsewhere about the nutritional value of millets. The Egyptian research has shown that millet grains have a high nutritional value as they contain around 10 to 20 to 16% protein, 3 to 5% fat, and 70 to 80 percentage of carbohydrate. The millet grain also contain amino acids with a good content of mineral elements, especially phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and iron salts. Experience have revealed also that feeding on millets leads to a decrease in cholesterol and increased levels of good high-density lipoprotein. As a result, millets can reduce obesity and provide protection against the onset of cardiovascular diseases and improve the overall health of consumers. Now, the most important part of my presentation is to share some agricultural practices. As I said, millet is not widespread in Egypt, but we have made some experiments in some governorates, and we have conducted some studies in some areas, and they came up with the following good practice or results. Number one is the repeated nitrogen fertilization. Studies have shown that the average acre productivity was higher for farmers who used repeated fertilization of nitrogen than those who used nitrogen fertilizer in a random manner. Number two, the mowing time. Productivity was higher for the farmers who conducted the mowing process at the appropriate height recommended in the studies and the leaflets than those who conducted it before reaching the appropriate height. Number three, the planting time. Studies have shown that the acre productivity was higher for farmers who cultivated their crops in the first half of April in our country than those who started to cultivate it in the second half of April. Accordingly, we have made some recommendations to you and to Egyptian farmers. Number one, to increase crop productivity, it is advised to increase the quantities of fertilizers that have positive effects, such as nitrogen, phosphate, and municipal fertilizers. Number two, it is important to guide millet growers to good agricultural practices that have been statistically proven to lead to an increase in acre productivity, such as what I have mentioned: repeated nitrogen fertilization, mowing time is important, planting time is important, and it must to be taken into consideration. Number three, it is also recommended to expand millet cultivation in reclaimed lands during summer season to fill the gap and the deficit in fodder crops, especially in dry areas in Egypt and maybe here in India. Thank you, and thank you again for your attention. Mr. Clark. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fauda, for sharing some good practices from Egypt. Now I would like to invite the representative from Nepal to share your experiences, Mr. Taranath Adhikari. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to express my heartful gratitude to the government of Odisha for inviting in this very important convention. I am Tarnath Adhikari. I am from Nepal, and millet production in Nepal is the research and other kind of development is very primary phase, and some of them are best practices also. So I am going to share those practices on very brief. Next. Next slide. So variety of millets including finger millet, sorghum millet, koguno millet, foxtail millet and proso millet are grown across different agroclimatic zones in Nepal. The dominant among them is the finger millet, the fourth major crop after paddy, wheat and maize. And finger millet is grown mostly in marginal lands, hilly and slopy lands. Above the 2000 meter from the sea level, there is the cultivation of finger millet. And in 2021, India proposed to the UN to declare 2023 as the International Year of Millets. And Nepal also supported the proposal of India. And now Nepal and India are working together to make this mission come true. And there are many programs by the Indian Embassy in Kathmandu with the collaboration of the Department of Agriculture in Nepal. And agriculture policy of Nepal is aware on the fact that millets can provide solution to the challenges of climate change and global food security. So national average productivity of millet, finger millet is only 1,113 kg per hectare. And Nepal is ranked 13th in the world for the millet production according to the data of Food Agriculture Organization. And due to the surging domestic demand, basically in some tribal communities and in the rural area, the finger millet is used for the production of alcohol. That is local alcohol, which is not branded yet. And because of that also, Nepal has been importing a significant quantity of millet, amounting to 732 million in 2022, and now it is increased. It is increased from 722 million of the previous year. So Nepal is importing millet from the India. So what are the challenges of growing and promoting finger millet are as follows. First one is, it is a labor intensive crop compared to other major cereals. And especially there is burden for women because of the societal structure. And there is a limited possibility of mechanization because of the slopy land and the small terrace, and therefore the hard work associated with the production and post-harvest operations. The crop was considered as low status food or food of marginalized communities. Some decades before, the eating finger millet is like the low status. Nowadays, because of the awareness and the various intervention of the government, now it is becoming the food of rich people, because only in the star hotels we can have the food made from the finger millet. Nowadays this has been changing. So lack of awareness on the nutrient composition and value of finger millet on human health, consequently there is a low rate of consumption, especially among the younger generation, but this has been changing. The area production and productivity of finger millet was almost stagnant the last decade. So best practices are outlined as given in the screen. One is the awareness program, and we have joint collaboration with FAO and other international organizations for the awareness campaign. And other is linking the millet processing and entrepreneurship to agriculture education, like in the bakery and hotels. As previous presenters also highlighted the nutritional importance of the millet. So nowadays, the patients struggling with diabetes and other patients are very much interested on consuming the finger millet. So revitalizing the traditional meal, dhido. This is the very traditional meal, and now hotels and restaurants are offering this meal as the special classical Nepali food. And partnership with the local government. There are 753 local government, including rural municipalities and municipalities. And the partnership has been increased from 133 municipalities to 167 rural municipalities. Similarly, this year we have the program, the Year of Millets, with the slogan, Millet Crops for Food Nutrition, Security, Environment and Rural Transformation. This is the theme of the program. So, policy and program of Annapurna Rural Municipality, I am going to explain about this. There is one rural municipality called as Annapurna. It is on the lap of Annapurna Valley, Annapurna Mountain. There are maybe more than 5 mountains, more than 7,000 meter height from the sea level. And on that lap, there is rural municipality, and there is the abundance of finger millet. And that municipality designed the program to show the people by leading by example, that municipal mayors and other office bearers, they must have to use the finger millet as their meal during the office time. So one is that, and other is midday meal program. This is the Annapurna Rural Municipality. And these are the best practices which we have been practicing to promote the finger millet, its production and consumption. And this is one is the meal from the finger millet, and second one is for the tiffin. These are the classical and very traditional food. Now they are getting very popular. So this is about the International Year of Millets, celebrated in Nepal with the collaboration with the international organization. And now it is time for intergovernmental, governmental and non-governmental organizations to champion millets through seminars, training and workshops, fostering their value addition. And despite lower yields, organic cultivation can bring higher prices in both national and international markets. Millets are not just grains, they are the seeds of sustainability, nutrition and health. So let's sow the millets to enhance the food security. This is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adhikari. Now I have a great honor to invite His Excellency Mr. Kamresh Chasi Prakesh, High Commissioner of the Republic of Fiji. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, distinguished speakers, our distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen. You know, after having such a lovely lunch, millet soup, millet salads, the main course, which was 5-6 items of millet, and 5-6 desserts, all millet, I thought I didn't have the energy to talk, but suddenly the millets have given me some energy, and after that meal, I look more handsome than that photograph. I must most sincerely thank the government of India for all the hard yards, all the hard work that they have done internationally with all countries, big and small, so that you had 74 countries supporting the resolution at the UN to declare 2023 as the International Year of Millets. Subsequently, your government has done so much internationally. We have not only celebrated the year of millets internationally in all countries, including in Fiji, but you fed all those leaders of G20 countries, including their spouses, fantastic, sumptuous millet meals 3 times a day. It doesn't stop there. Today, if you go out in any hotel, any state of India or Union Territory, you get served millets for breakfast, for lunch, and dinner. I think there is no other better practice than that you can see in this day and time. So thank you, India. And when we come to Odisha, you are, of course, the pioneering state that has done a lot to promote millets in the state. And today you are the exemplary state in terms of best practices on millets, and many other states are sharing your example. So congratulations again, and we thank you indeed for the convention, International Convention on Millets that you have organized. And we are so happy to have come here and learned so much about millets, why they are necessary, the significance, nutritional to the economic value. Everything else has been said by several other speakers, and we have had so many good stories from throughout these speakers before me. So I will not dwell on that. I think I go to the case of Fiji. Over 150 years ago, people from India under the British Raj left for many shores abroad, Trinidad, Tobago, Mauritius, Guyana, Suriname, etc., including to Fiji. When these indentured laborers went, they went with all the essentials that was necessary to see them through in life for the next 5 years. They took all the seeds that was necessary, from jackfruits to oranges to mangoes to what have you, as did they with some of the livestock and get cattle and cow and all that. So they did with millets. Not only for their sustenance, but seeds that they could grow to actually provide them the food that they knew was so essential part of their diet, giving that kind of nutrition and all. And none of them had any idea what awaited them in all those distant horizons, countries that they had never seen. That is how millets were introduced in the country. And you go to any Indian origin family, we are the 3rd generation. Madam, my son is their 4th generation. And we have 5th and 6th generation since. All of them have consumed millet. They love the ragi, the wheat, the sorghum, the barley. These are even today essential part of our diet. And they must be served. Thanks to India, it is coming back in a big way. Now, although mostly for those individual farmers, this was essentially a subsistence crop that was grown somewhere, beside your house, in all those lands that were not utilized. Fiji was essentially monocrop, sugarcane, sugarcane, sugarcane. And the British had to get the maximum through these workers from the sugarcane farms. But the practices were not left. But the benefit of millets was realized over the decades. So it was only in the 70s, mid-70s, in which some serious attempts were made by the government to commercialize millets. You saw the, 300 over islands of Fiji in one of the slides that was shown. In 2 islands it was trialed. And the best part about millets was that it was grown on not on the arable lands. It was grown on the hills, on the infertile soils, what was deemed to be infertile, arid lands, harsh lands, wetlands, everywhere they grew. They grew so much, something like sorghum. Some people regarded that to be a nuisance because you couldn't control the growth. And you didn't need any fertilizers to actually farm them. They were just growing because Fiji is volcanic. The soils even otherwise is very rich, just that you can't grow sugarcane there, so it's not fertile or not arable. It continued, and we did well. But what we lacked seriously was the facilities to do the processing, the milling. You couldn't do millet, milling in the rice mills. Those were the mills that we had all around. And the facilities were in the urban centers, so it became very difficult for farmers to take the millets to the distant places for the milling and all. And without some sincere, orchestrated, holistic understanding and support policy otherwise from government, it tended to decline. Production tended to decline, not consumption, because you kept on importing from India, and some of the slides show that. Now, come the 80s and the 90s, what happens? Liberalization, deregulation. So you have imported rice, imported wheat, and everything else that comes into your country, which is much cheaper than your local produce. That had the net effect of killing most industries, not only rice and limited wheat, and including millets. Fiji eats a lot of root crops, sweet potatoes, sakarkanji, kya bolte, Arabic and all that. Dalo, cassava, kumala is what we call. So there was focus towards that and westernization. When you have McDonald's and KFC, the child doesn't want millet. It changes behavior, it changes quite a bit of it. So that was the sad story in terms of how things develop because of this. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board. Today, especially when you have a lot of NCDs, the non-communicable diseases, obesity, people are dying of heart attacks, diabetes, cancer, etc., etc. Then it is realized we need to go back to our roots, our ancient foods, our superfoods. And that is the direction in which Fiji is also moving towards, revitalizing and reorganizing our farming and thinking. In this area, again, we need a lot of supports. I only wish we had all those small-time harvesters and threshers and so on, the machinery that we saw outside. This is what is needed, not only in Fiji, but perhaps in many other countries. And because we have 360 islands, all of which are capable of growing millets, I think that kind of technological intervention, etc., will be very useful in terms of assisting us. The other beauty about millets is that although we have about 500,000 acres of arable land, we have more than 2 times that amount of land which can go to cultivation of millets and other produce. Just that when we were doing, we didn't have the scientific know-how which millet grows in the dry area, in the arid, wet areas, hilly areas, and so forth. So that was a disaster in terms of that. We have learned quite a bit, many lessons, as some of which I have highlighted. So now it is time, using the International Year of the Millet, to go back to the drawing board, bring out all those lessons, and redo things, correct our behavior, especially at the policy level, so that we can have a more holistic. Although, when we had our farmers doing their own sugarcane farms, as opposed to some planters, they used to do multi-cropping. And in between all those sugarcane farms, we had lots of varieties of millets and beans and pulses going. That gave not only the food for sustenance, but there was some cash income. I think this is to what we return. I think there's some, in the interest of time, millets, again, very, very important because of food security. Today, like many other countries which do not have, the access to land and so forth, facing food security, we used to be very self-reliant on food. Now we are dependent. We import quite a bit of food, everything you name it, we import. And we have all the land that is also barren. That's the other side of the story. So for food security, health security, nutritional security, millet actually pitches very, very nicely. And we are small Pacific Island countries with a unique challenge, that of climate change. This is the climate resilient crop, which is also not only beneficial in terms of this, but it is beneficial in terms of the entire Earth, Mother Earth, and the planet. Thank you very much. We give a lot of tax incentives to our farmers. Lots of benefits. More than half of our country is a tax-free zone. You could go in and do agribusiness. If there are, big or small, but people interested in farming for millets or any other thing in Fiji, please get in touch with us. You can enjoy those benefits and do some serious business, grow, and let us have some quality millets organically grown in Fiji as well. We'd love to have you here. Thank you very much, State of Odisha, and a very happy Millets Day that you will observe tomorrow. Dhanyavad, Vinaka.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Very heart-warming remarks. Now I would like to invite a speaker from India. The representative from the state government of Chhattisgarh is here to share the experience. I would like to invite Mr. Kapil Dev Deepak. The floor is yours. Thank you.
मंच में आसीन समस्त हमारे अतिथिगण और सामने उपस्थित हमारे इस कार्यक्रम के श्रोतागण के रूप में उपस्थित सभी सम्मानीयगण, जैसा कि आप सब जान रहे हैं कि मिलेट्स एक प्रोग्राम को लेकर हम भारत ही नहीं पूरी दुनिया में एक लीडिंग रोल के रूप में भारत सरकार के द्वारा किया जा रहा है। भारत सरकार को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं और साथ ही उड़ीसा गवर्नमेंट को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं कि आपने इस मिशन मोड में इस मिलेट्स को लेकर आके एक नई पहचान बनाई है। चूँकि उड़ीसा के पड़ोसी राज्य के रूप में हम छत्तीसगढ़ भी हैं, छत्तीसगढ़ के उड़ीसा से हमने सीखा, कुछ देखा और छत्तीसगढ़ में भी हमने 2021 में मिलेट मिशन लागू किया है। मिलेट मिशन का उद्देश्य हमारा यही है कि उसके उत्पादकता को बढ़ाना, कृषकों के आय में वृद्धि करना, मिलेट्स के प्रसंस्करण और मूल्य संवर्धन के साथ उसका विपणन का व्यवस्था करना और दैनिक आहार में लोगों को, उपभोक्ता को आसानी से पहुंच सके, ताकि हम अभी वर्तमान में जिस तरह से कुपोषण के शिकार पूरे भारत देश में, हमारे छत्तीसगढ़ भी अछूता नहीं रहा, उससे हम कुछ हद तक हम उसको कम कर सकें। ये हमारा मुख्य उद्देश्य है। ये मिलेट मिशन जब लॉन्च हुआ, ये हमारे स्टेट के 156 ब्लॉक्स में जो ट्राइबल ब्लॉक्स हैं, आईटीडीपी के ट्राइबल ब्लॉक्स हैं 45, जो कि 20 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में कवर होते हैं, उसमें हम लोग सबसे पहले लॉन्च किया है। और उसके तहत हमने जो रोड मैप तैयार किया है, उसमें ट्रांसफर ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी थ्रू डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन एंड एश्योर मिलेट्स मार्केटिंग थ्रू प्रोक्योरमेंट एंड इंश्योर ऑफ सीड सप्लाई, पोस्ट हार्वेस्ट प्रमोशन, encourage of millets farmers and promotion of millets consumption इन अवेयरनेस एंड प्रमोशन ऑफ मिलेट्स। ये हमारे रोड मैप हैं। इस रोड मैप के तहत आगे हम लोग इस मिशन को ले जा रहे हैं। आप आंकड़ा देख रहे हैं कि हमारा जो पहला जो 2021 में हमारा जो मिलेट्स का एरिया था वो लगभग 93,000 हेक्टेयर था, और इसको हम फर्स्ट ईयर में हम 1,17,000 का लक्ष्य लेके हम लोग 5 साल में इसको 1,86,000 जस्ट 1.8 मल्टीप्लिकेशन कर रहे हैं, और इसको आगे हम ले जा रहे हैं। मिलेट मिशन जैसे कि हमने कहा कि 2021 में 93,000 हेक्टेयर था। चूँकि इसकी उत्पादकता हमारे छत्तीसगढ़ में ट्रेडिशनल क्रॉप के रूप में लिया जाता रहा है, तो इसकी उत्पादकता भी कम थी, जो 652 क्विंटल 652 केजी पर हेक्टेयर था। बहुत ही कम एवरेज जो स्टेट का जो कंट्री का एवरेज है उससे भी कम था। तो हमने इसको थोड़ा प्रमोशन किया है और डिमॉन्स्ट्रेशन के माध्यम से इसकी उत्पादकता 2022 में 717 केजी बढ़ा, इसमें कोदो कुटकी में और कुटकी में 595। इस तरह से ग्रेजुअली अवेयरनेस के कारण और कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफ़र के कारण हम लोग इस एरिया को बढ़ा पाए हैं। अब देखेंगे कि 93,000 से जंप करके 1,41,000 हेक्टेयर में हम लोग से लास्ट ईयर पहुँचे, और इस साल का टारगेट हमारा 1,91,000 था, जो कि 1,30,000 हेक्टेयर हो गया है। चूँकि आपको पता है कि रागी एक रबी में भी समर में भी अच्छा क्रॉप है। इसको हमारे छत्तीसगढ़ में समर में ज़्यादा फार्मर्स प्रेफरेंस कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि इसकी प्रोडक्टिविटी खरीफ के अलावा समर में ज़्यादा होता है। दूसरा चैलेंजों को इसकी प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने के लिए सीड सप्लाई चेन का है। तो हमने जब मिलेट मिशन बिफोर मिलेट मिशन इसकी जो सीड प्रोडक्शन बहुत कम होता था, हमने विशेष रूप से सीड प्रोडक्शन के लिए मुहिम चलाया, और 5,449 क्विंटल हमने 21-22 में प्रोडक्शन किया, और इस तरह से 23-24 में 24,000 क्विंटल किया। इस तरह से सीधे से 5 गुना हमने 2 साल में सीड प्रोडक्शन का लक्ष्य को पाया है। सीड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन भी अगर फार्मर के बीच में बेहतर अगर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करते हैं और एक अच्छा क्वालिटी ऑफ सीड सर्टिफाइड सीड देते हैं, तो नो डाउट उसकी प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ रही है। तो इसमें भी हम लोग देखें कि 3,000 क्विंटल पर ईयर था जो कि सीड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का, और वो 2023 से हम 14,000 क्विंटल किसानों के बीच में हम लोग डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दिए। और इसके कारण सीड रिप्लेसमेंट रेशियो जो 27% था वो जाके हमारा 90% अभी हो गया है। ये जब टेक्नोलॉजी डिमॉन्स्ट्रेशन की बात करें, ट्रांसफ़र ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी डिमॉन्स्ट्रेशन, उसमें बहुत हद तक हमने किसानों के बीच में अवेयरनेस कैंप का ट्रेनिंग किया। उसके साथ साथ टेक्निकल जो टूल्स है, जैसे कि SRI है, टाइम ऑफ सोइंग है, सीड सप्लाई है, ये सब टेक्निक्स को लेके एक इंटेंसिव मोड पे हम लोग कुछ हमारे स्कीम्स ऑनगोइंग स्कीम में जो डिपार्टमेंट में एग्रीकल्चर में आते हैं उसको मेनली फोकस जो है मिलेट्स के ऊपर करते हुए डिमॉन्स्ट्रेशन ऑर्गेनाइज किया, और 22-23 में 57,000 हेक्टेयर में डिमॉन्स्ट्रेशन किया, और 23 में 14,000। इस तरह से हम लोग फाइनेंशियली इसमें मिलेट मिशन में भी सपोर्ट कर पा रहे हैं 34 करोड़ के लगभग। एक अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी हमारे छत्तीसगढ़ शासन ने लिया है और किसानों के लिए कि हम अगर मिलेट्स के क्रॉप ग्रो कर रहे हैं, उसकी मार्केटिंग या उसकी प्रोक्योरमेंट एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज होता है। भारत सरकार ने जो बहुत सारे जो क्रॉप्स के MSP तय किया है, लेकिन उसमें कोदो कुटकी इसमें छूट गया है। तो इसमें हमने स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से इसका MSP डिक्लेयर किया, और 10,000 रुपये रागी का कोदो कुटकी का, और इसमें रीढ़ का क्रॉप लोन के रूप में हम लोग उसको उन फार्मरों को हमने आइडेंटिफाई करके स्पेशली उन फार्मरों को क्रॉप लोन में के लिए हम लोग प्रमोट करते हैं, ताकि उनको किसी तरह से कल्टीवेशन में फाइनेंशियली प्रॉब्लम ना आए। हमने क्रॉप इसके लिए स्केल ऑफ फाइनेंस भी किया है, रागी के लिए 10,000 रुपये और कोदो के लिए 15,000 रुपये। इस तरह से जो भी फार्मर इसमें इसकी कल्टीवेशन में आ रहे हैं उसको ईजिली क्रॉप लोन मिल पा रहा है। प्रोक्योरमेंट की बात कहूँ कि इसमें भारत सरकार ने जैसे कहा कि उसके बाद जो 2 साल में हमने प्रोक्योरमेंट जो वन विकास निगम के माध्यम से, वो एजेंसी है हमारी, उसके माध्यम से कर रहे हैं और इसका जो प्रोक्योरमेंट कंटिन्यूसली बढ़ रहा है। लास्ट ईयर से फिगर हमारा 22-23 में कम दिख रहा है। तो इसका रीज़न ये है कि हमने एमएसपी जब भी कोई सरकार की तरफ से एमएसपी घोषित होता है तो उसका किसान को एक लेबल मिलता है कि ताकि उसके किसान को अच्छा आसानी से बिक्री कर सके। हाँ हाँ। दूसरा एक इनिशिएटिव एक हमारे मिलेट्स ग्रोवर के लिए है कि इंटेंसिव बी के रूप में हम लोग जो इसका एक एरिया एक्सपेंशन करना है, तो हम जब तक फार्मर्स को कुछ इंटेंसिव ना दें तब तक किसान आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएगा। तो इसलिए हम लोग किसान न्याय योजना के तहत मिलेट्स ग्रोवर को जो इनपुट सब्सिडी भी दे रहे हैं, जो कि राइस के जो ग्रोवर हैं, जो राइस फील्ड में ग्रो कर रहे हैं, उसके जगह अगर मिलेट्स करते हैं तो 10,000 रुपये इसको सब्सिडी दे रहे हैं, इनपुट सब्सिडी। और जो कंटिन्यूसली जो मिलेट्स ग्रो कर रहे हैं उनको 9,000 रुपये पर एकड़ सब्सिडी दे रहे हैं। ये इस दूसरा हमने कहा कि जो क्लाइमेटिक हजार्ड या किसी कारण जो उसके क्रॉप नुकसान हो जाता है, तो जो प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना है उसमें हमारे स्टेट में ये फसल सम्मिलित नहीं था, तो इसको भी हम लोग सम्मिलित करते हुए इसे क्रॉप लोन पे इसको इंश्योरेंस कराया और इसी साल हमने इसको सम्मिलित किया है। तो 1957 किसान इसमें कवर होते हुए हैं और 1253 हेक्टर कवर हुआ है। पोस्ट हार्वेस्ट में भी हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं। चूँकि इसमें छत्तीसगढ़ मिलेट्स मिशन के रूप में इसमें ब्रांडिंग एंड पैकेजिंग के लिए फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडियन एफपीओस और एग्रीगेट्स के साथ इंदिरा गांधी कृषि विश्वविद्यालय का टाई अप हुआ है। इसी तरह IIMR के साथ इंदिरा गांधी कृषि विश्वविद्यालय का हमारा जो टाई अप हुआ है उसके साथ कर रहे हैं। और मिलेट्स के आधारित रेडी टू कुक एंड रेडी टू ईट रेसिपी हम लोग तैयार कर रहे हैं, जो कि जो मिलेट कैफ़े हैं या हमारे जो सेल काउंटर हैं, जो कि हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक सी मार्ट के रूप में हम लोग छत्तीसगढ़ में कर रहे हैं, उसके माध्यम से इसको जो कंज्यूमर को अवेलेबल करा रहे हैं। तो उसके साथ ही हमारे यहाँ रीपा जो रूरल इंडस्ट्रियल पार्क है, और ये ग्रामीण जो इसी के माध्यम से प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट इसको स्थापित कर रहे हैं। और हमारे सभी इस जिलों में लगभग रीपा के माध्यम से इसको प्रोसेसिंग करने का चैलेंज है। कुछ हमारे यहाँ जो बाई प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं, इसका प्रमोशन कंजप्शन है। ये इसमें हमारे डिपार्टमेंट के अलावा भी अन्य डिपार्टमेंट को भी इन जो वर्क आवंटित किए हैं, जिसके तरफ महिला बाल विकास भी प्रमोशन कर रही है। महिला बाल विकास के जो आंगनबाड़ियाँ हमें स्कूल में भी जो है, एक स्कूल में जो किशोरी बच्चियां हैं उनको ताकि हेल्थ के लिए कॉन्शियस हो और न्यूट्रिशन उनके बारे में, मिलेट्स के बारे में, तो स्कूलों में भी लेक्चर और कॉलेजों में लेक्चर दे रहे हैं। और इसके साथ साथ हमारा स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और डिस्ट्रिक्ट में भी इसका मेला और आयोजित हो रहा है। ये सभी इसके कुछ फोटोग्राफ्स हैं जो हमने वर्क अभी तक किया है। वो इस तरह से हम लोग छत्तीसगढ़ में मिलेट मिशन को एक भारत सरकार के सहयोग से अच्छा करने जा रहे हैं। थैंक यू।
Thank you very much, Mr. Deepak. This comes to the end of the speakers. According to the original agenda, we were supposed to have the question and answer session and also some summaries of the session. But since we are quite behind the time and we see that the next session is supposed to be starting, therefore I would like to take your permission to conclude the session by thanking to all the distinguished speakers. Thank you very much for bringing in all the thoughts and the best experiences. I hope the session was useful to all the listeners. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everybody, and on behalf of our department and on behalf of our directorate, I would request you, it is my proud privilege to invite our additional secretary, Srimati Anjana Panda Madam Mahodaya. I would request her to please give the to accolade all our guests and dignitaries on the dais. Srimati Anjana Panda Madam, our Additional Secretary, Department of Agriculture and Farmers Empowerment. On behalf of our department and on behalf of our directorate and on behalf of the Millet Mission, I and on behalf of my department owe a lot to all the dignitaries on the dais and of the dais today. And on behalf of our World Food Program, FICCI, and our directorate, they have done a lot, and with all our guests present here, all our participants, we are very much thankful on behalf of our department and Agriculture and Farmers Empowerment. And I am very much, last but not the least, very much thankful our Additional Secretary Anjana Panda Mohodaya, जे कि हमको माने सबुठू इवेंट आम इवेंट रो ये जो आवरली इवेंट रो शेष मुहूर्त रे मैडम समस्त को उत्तरीय दे सम्मानित करिसंती तेणु we are also very much thankful to our Additional Secretary Anjana Panda Mohodaya and all our guests from Government of India and His Excellency Embassy, High Commissioner Embassy Fiji. And now with the due permission of the chairman of this session, the session is hereby closed. Thank you all. Thank you all.